The product's micro frontend is now in a pretty good state. So now we're going to start to work on our container and then figure out how to integrate these two micro frontends together. So let's start working on container. I'm going to first begin by going back over to my terminal. I'm going to open up a second terminal window. You'll notice that it is automatically open for me inside the products directory. I'm going to go up one directory, so I'm back inside of our e-commerce folder. So I should see our products project right there. So once I'm inside of the ecom directory, I'll then make a new folder to house everything related to our container. I'll change into that container directory, and then once again, I'm going to create a package.json file with npm init-y. Once I've generated that file, we're then going to again install a couple of different dependencies. These are going to be the exact same dependencies that we added in to our products project, with one exception. We're not going to add in the faker module to our container because the container just doesn't need it for any reason. So we will do an npm install. We're going to do HTML Webpack plugin at 4.5.0. We'll get NodeMon. We don't need to specify a version on that. We'll get Webpack at 5.3.2. Webpack CLI at 4.1.0. And then finally, Webpack Dev Server at 3.11.0. So I'm going to run that. And while that's going, I'm going to flip back over to my code editor. Inside my code editor, I can currently only see the products directory. I'm going to reopen my code editor so I can work on both the products and the container projects at the same time. To do so, I'll go to File and then Open. I'm then going to select my ecom directory and open that. Now, if you're on Windows, the process will be just slightly different, but ultimately all we want to do is open up the ecom project inside of our editor. So we should see both our container and our products folders. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit more setup on our container. The setup inside of here is going to revolve around the exact same files we had created for products, but some of the files are going to have some different configuration and code inside them. At the end of the day, though, we're going to have the pretty much same files, an index.js, an HTML file, and a webpack config. So I'll first begin by creating that index.html file. I'm going to create a new directory called public, and then an index.html inside there. I'll place my doc type, an HTML tag, there's my head, my body, and we're going to leave it just like that for right now. So one thing I want to point out here is that inside of our container HTML document, we've got an empty body, and inside of our products HTML file, we've got a div where we can render our actual products project. So that list of projects are going to be inserted into that div right there. So I just want to point out really quickly that these two HTML files are just slightly different. Next up, inside of our container, we're going to make another folder of src. Inside there, I'll make a new file called index.js. And for right now, I'll do a very simple console log, and I'll just say container. I'll then save that file and close it. And then finally, we'll make one more file, the webpack config.js file. So for right now, this file is going to look kind of similar to what we just did over inside of products, but we're going to very quickly make some big changes to it. So inside of here, we still want to have that HTML webpack plugin. And I'm going to require that from HTML Webpack plugin. We'll then do another module exports. We'll set our mode to development. We'll set our dev server. And this time around for our port, we're going to say 8080. So at this point in time, remember, our products project is on port 8081, and our container is going to be on 8080. And then finally, we'll set up our plugins array. We'll have a new HTML Webpack plugin. We'll set the template to be public index.html. Okay, just one last piece of setup. Inside of our package.json file, we'll make sure that we add in our start script. So I'm going to replace inside of package.json inside the container directory test with start, and whenever we run that, we're going to actually execute our webpack serve, like so. Okay, so we've now got products and we've got container. These are two separate projects. There's no link between them, there's no tie, there's no integration at all. Just to make sure that container is working by itself, let's go over to our command line, make sure we can launch container, and then just try to visit it inside of our browser. So back at my terminal, it looks like my npm install is all complete. I'll make sure I'm inside my container directory, and I'll do an npm start, or npm run start. Either one is totally fine. Okay, so it looks like everything has started up. I don't see any errors. I might see a warning or two, totally fine. So now to make sure that our container is working correctly, I will open up my browser once again, and then I will navigate manually to localhost 8080. And I should see inside my console something that says container, like so. Okay, so we've now got two projects created, and now we need to think about how we're going to integrate them together. So as you could guess, that's going to be a big topic for our next video. So quick pause right here, and we'll dive right in.